In this lab, we will learn how to interact with OpenStack using OpenStack Unified Command Line Interface. First of all, put in your mind that OpenStack CLI requires user authentication before interacting with OpenStack cluster. So we have to create a keystone authentication file, and inside that file we have to specify the authentication parameters. These parameters are defined as environment variables. So we will define the following parameters. OS username will define the authenticated user which is used to interact with OpenStack. OS password will define the password for that user. OS project name will define the project which is managed by that user in this session. OS project domain name will define the domain to which the project belongs. OS user domain name will define the project to which that user belongs. OS identity API version will define the identity service API version. OS auth URL will define keystone identity service URL. PS1 will define Linux prompt to include the username and the project name. Put in your mind that if you are managing many projects using different users, it's recommended to create a separate file for each project with the respective user, so you can easily switch between these users and projects. Then after creating that file, we have to apply these parameters using source command. As we can notice here, the Linux prompt has been changed to include OpenStack user operator 1 plus the project called production. To validate these variables, we can use env command grep os. Here we can see that all the authentication parameters has been defined. After applying these required authentication parameters, we will be able to use OpenStack CLI easily. So let's explore more examples for how to use OpenStack CLI. And remember that all of the output of the following list of commands will be related to the project which is defined in the keystone authentication file, which is the production project. If you need any help regarding OpenStack command, just use OpenStack help command to get additional information about OpenStack command usage. So this command will display the available commands of the OpenStack CLI. OpenStack command supports tab completion feature, so we can type OpenStack command then press tab key twice. That will display the list of the available subcommands. To list the available flavors, use OpenStack flavor list. We will see that we have only one flavor called default, and we can notice here that every OpenStack resource will have UUID. This UUID is unique identifier for that resource, so we can manage that resource using its name or its UUID. To display more details about specific flavor, use the OpenStack flavor show command with the flavor name default as an argument. This command will display the details of the specified default flavor, including its disk size, amount of RAM, virtual CPUs, and its status. To list the available images, use OpenStack image list command. Here we can see that we have only one image called rel7. To display more information about that image, use OpenStack image show followed by the image name rel7. In the output of that command, we can see more information about rel7 image, such as the minimum disk required for that image and the minimum RAM required for this image and the image name and the disk format, it's QCOW2. To display a list of the available instances, we use OpenStack server list. As mentioned in the output of this command, that we have only one instance called server1 and its status is shut off, and it's attached to a network called production network 1, and it has IP address 192.168.1.6, and this instance has been created from rel7 image and it's using the default flavor. To display more information about specific instance, the instance name is passed as an argument for OpenStack server show command. So here we will display more details about server 1 instance, and as mentioned in the output of this command, that instance is shut down and it's attached to production network 1 and it has IP address 192.168.1.6 and it has been created on this date and at that time. So remember that before interacting with OpenStack using the command line interface, you have to authenticate first using the keystone authentication file as discussed at the beginning of this lab. That's all for this lesson. See you next video.